The drums of war thunder once again, and it's all everyone's talking about on the BBC. Indian airstrikes. How will Pakistan respond? 4 key questions from Sutik Biswas. Right, Sutik Biswas, there's a problem. I can't see him being an impartial observer, can you? With a name like that. They should have sent a Polish bloke over there. They're going to insist on only employing foreigners. Anyway, to the questions at hand. 4 key questions. I know what they're going to be before we even scroll down, all right? Will I still be able to get a taxi? Can I still get a decent curry? Who's going to be able to fix my mobile phone or sell me a vape? And if the casualties rise, are there going to be less people in England ready and willing to finger the kids? Easy. Should we just stop there? Okay, all jokes aside, let's read the actual story, do our level best to cut through the commie gibberish that's on the BBC, and then I'll try and give you the actual pertinent points when we get to the end of it, shall I? In a dramatic overnight operation, India said it launched missile and airstrikes on 9 sites across Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir, targeting what it called militant positions based on credible intelligence. The strikes, lasting just 25 minutes, between 01:05 and 01:30 in the morning, sent shockwaves through the region, with residents jolted awake by thunderous explosions. Jolted awake by thunderous explosions. Ironically, that's what happens to Mrs. Bootneck when we're in bed and I've been eating Indian food that evening. Pakistan said only 6 locations were hit and claimed to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets and a drone, a claim India has not confirmed. I love it when they start doing this. This is my favourite part of war. Well, other than the bayoneting the enemy in the face part. Remember Sads and all his mates? One of his best was Comical Ali. And he made that famous statement about how they've crushed the Americans and driven them home like dogs with their tails between the legs. And as he was saying it, like a US tank smashed through a building behind him. It was brilliant. And it looks like they're starting doing that again. We killed dozens of them. No, you killed 2. Hundreds of their best soldiers were slain. You dropped a bomb on a granny. You horrible bastards. Islamabad said 26 people were killed and 46 injured. Meanwhile, India's army said 10 civilians were killed by Pakistani shelling on its side of the de facto border. Yeah, when they drop bombs, they always land on enemy soldiers 100% of the time. And when the enemy drop bombs, 100% of the time they land on orphanages, children's hospitals, and a stray missile landed on Mother Teresa's grave. Yeah, that's how it works in war. Does this attack mark a new escalation? That's another one of them wonderful BBC questions that isn't really a question, is it? Think about that. What, does dropping large amounts of bombs and killing dozens of people, does that count as an escalation? Answers on a postcard, lads. It's not a tickling contest, is it? The deepest hit, says India, was a JM headquarters in Bashwalpur, 100k inside Pakistan. A lead camp in Muzaffarabad, 30k from the LOC and capital of Kashmir, was linked to recent attacks in Indian-administered Kashmir, the spokesman said. Pakistan says 6 locations have been hit, but denies allegations of there being terror camps. Yeah, rightio, lads. Yeah, denies allegations of... Osama was living in Pakistan for 20 years, unmolested. If you don't think vast swathes, Sam Harris crunched the numbers once on TV and he got lambasted for it, but essentially a very significant minority of people, and possibly a majority in some regions in Pakistan, are supporters of John, Paul and Ringo, and not the musician ones, the decapitation ones, okay? They are. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. A significant minority of English-born sons of the soil of Pakistan, to quote the former Scottish Prime Minister. That makes loads of sense in the sentence, doesn't it? A significant minority of them openly, nakedly support terrorism. When Trump rightly said that they had street parties after 9/11 and all of the left lambasted him for it, he was telling the truth. You know it, I know it. Have a conversation with one of these people. In fact, true story, when I came back from Iraq, when we invaded Iraq, first thing I did when I landed in England was went for a pint in London. And the first pub I got to, I went in and I was wearing a Royal Marines insignia on my shirt, and there was 2 very, very hostile looking regulars at that snack bar they're always shouting about. openly glaring at me with absolute hostility, open hatred for a serving British soldier. If you don't think that their ideology is a tie that binds them all across the world, and there aren't hundreds of millions of regulars at the glorious snack bar who openly and brazenly support terrorism, you are a maniac. So I'm very much leaning towards the Indian interpretation of this. They definitely have terror camps in Pakistan. And if you don't think that, you haven't been paying attention. Anyway, let's take a quick break, because I've been offered dozens of sponsorships over the last few years, and I've knocked them all back because, frankly, I don't want to peddle crushed up rhino horns or pointless trinkets you don't need. However, I finally got offered something that I think will actually benefit people. It's a product I can morally get behind. So check this out. Ladies and gents, how are you doing? Now, you can all tell by this picture, the Bootneck doesn't skip leg day. No, you don't get quads like that by being born idle. And one thing that has helped me immeasurably in my fitness goals is this marvellous piece of equipment. The Yesoul G1M Plus bike has an immersive 21.5-inch full HD 1080p screen, allowing for free and unlimited streaming. The sound is booming, thanks to front and rear mounted speakers. In fact, I think I'll just show you mine. Because you might think, this bit of kit is so much cheaper than a Peloton, the screen and the sound quality must be terrible, right?
Right? Wrong.
It's a great bit of kit. The screen moves, the sound's banging, the resistance is perfect. Unlike many exercise bikes where you can't stand the entire time, obviously I need to, due to my, inhuman strength and powerful lungs. It's got a nice smooth rotation so you can stand the whole time, whack it onto maximum resistance, and at the end of your workout, well, it looks like the fire department have blasted you with a riot hose or something. And thanks to the beautiful screen and the streaming feature that allows you to imagine yourself cycling around the Cotswolds on a summer day, it also allows me to finally achieve my dream of cycling while completely naked. Winner. Nothing beats pedaling with your plums out. Thanks to the free and unlimited streaming, you can enjoy fun cardio with Yesoul at a fraction of the price of the competitors. And I suppose you don't have to do it with your clothes off if you don't really want to. Check them out in the description. I did get a discount code, as you do when you're doing these things. But all jokes aside, it is a really good product. I use it myself, and God willing, I'll continue to do so, at least until I lose a foot to alcoholism. Now, back to my video. The first one was too stupid to start on again, and it appears the second's the same. Could this spiral into a broader conflict? My God. I should have read this story all the way at the bottom before I started. Could this spiral into a broader conflict? No, because religious fanatics are totally rational all the time, and they never kick off and cause bloody blue murder everywhere they go. Yeah, of course it couldn't. No, I'm sure this time tomorrow they'll all be playing Scrabble. In fact, 1 billion Indians are going to convert. And the next thing you know, they're all going to get naked, lube up and daisy chain round Mecca. What is this trash? Of course it could. There we go. Save me some reading, save you some time. Yes, it definitely could. Question 3. Is Pakistani retaliation now inevitable? Who wrote these questions? Did David Lammy scribble them down on the back of a box of tabs after he flunked out of Mastermind? Who wrote these questions? The first one was beyond ridiculous, the second one was even dafter, and the third one is answered by the first two, isn't it? Are these people complete lunatics? What do you pay the licence fee for? Well, we know why. Someone's got to buy paper copies of The Guardian, haven't they? It's a daft question, it's not inevitable, it's merely likely. Hopefully, the United States can threaten them enough that they won't bother. But with religious zealots in charge, some of which are positively champing at the bit to press the big button because they actually are a death cult and they think it'll be a good thing if the entire world gets reduced to ash. So that's where we stand on that. Lots of them are going to be clamouring for war because that's what happens when you're in a fruity little cult. The fact that it was started by a pot-bellied epileptic goat herder plagiarist over 1,000 years ago doesn't make it any more likely or prestigious or rational to me than Mormonism or Scientology or anything else. So when people like that are in charge of things, who knows what's going to happen? is the short version. And can India and Pakistan step back from the brink? Christ on a bike. This is BuzzFeed level clickbait. All right, I should have read this all the way to the bottom before I started ripping them apart. But it's the BBC. I hate them so much. I've got a hair trigger. I just see something stupid and I flip out and go to town on it. Yeah, they can, but they might not. Pointless clickbait story. 4 stupid questions. What are we still doing here? Yeah. In fact, what was the point? What was the point in this entire video? Well, I mean, maybe soldier a bike. That's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And more importantly, this is the good question. Whose side are you on? I love picking sides in conflicts. You know, I always talk about how I like the complex, difficult conversations rather than the boring ones, like stand against cancer and stuff. I like the hard questions. Israel-Palestine's a good one. This is another great one. And remember, Bootneck's rules, you have to pick a side in a war. You can't sit this one out. Who are you with? Alan's lads or the Delhi boys? Let me know in the comments. For myself, I think I'll be a reluctant supporter of the Delhi boys because 4 tours of Iraq and Afghanistan has definitely loaded the dice for me. And ultimately, despite any shortcomings on the side of the Indians, I cannot bring myself to ever not be as strongly aligned as possible against anyone who routinely eats the breakfast at Alan's world-famous snack bar and then promptly scatters themselves up the side of a sporting event or a pop concert or a bus or a train or a Parisian sidewalk or anywhere else. So that's where I stand on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want a cheap bike, check the link in the description. All right? You need one, fatty. Get some exercise. Okay, see you later. Cheers.